Hey everybody, John Bernakevitch here with All Points Design, as well as Neil Bertrando of RT Permaculture. We are talking about assignment one, and assignment one is your design site. So Neil's going to go through the requirements, and then we're going to show you a couple examples and some do's and don'ts.
Great. So this is a very straightforward assignment. It's to get you some practice using simple digital tools such as screenshots and or PowerPoint or PDF or something like that. It can even just be a JPEG. What we want from you for your design site is we want you to choose a site that is exciting for you to use for your design project, that you have physical access to for at least some portion of the course, ideally the entire course, because there's several assignments where you will want to be on the site. Observation is one of the first and primary principles of permaculture, and being able to observe your site is a really powerful tool for you to get feedback and practice on during this course. So the things that we're looking for specifically are a short description of the site verbally, such as "this is my 5-acre home in rural Indiana." We also want an image of the site, a photograph or a map. You can do both. That'd be great. It helps familiarize us with the site as well as gives you practice using the tools. And the address. This is so that we can find it on Google Earth, and it makes it much easier for us to give you quality feedback. If you don't want to share your address with everyone in the class, then you're welcome to just email it to us directly. We want to also respect people's privacy. So that's something that is up to you. But for us as instructors, give you good feedback. It's most beneficial for us to be able to have your address to look things up clearly.
Awesome. The other thing is just make sure we get a sense of the size. So let us know what the size of the property is. If you work in hectares or acres, both are fine. We'll be able to follow you as we go along. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share a couple of projects with you, and we're going to show you a few things about them just so you can get a sense of them. This is from a previous permaculture design certificate in fall of 2011 with a student who was on Vancouver Island in Canada. So very simple. They are already working on a learning center. They already have a lot of things together. So they gave a bit of a description, told us about who the people are involved, what they're going to be doing, what their big ideas are, what it might look like. And then they gave us a sense of what that looks like. So they gave us a number of photos, which I love seeing. It really gives me a good sense of the site. One thing I would have loved from this person is to also give us the direction. So I'll show you an example soon of where these points are. They also had a little arrow showing the direction, so I could get a sense of the shape and the size and the vegetation of the property. This was a really great assignment because it gave us a sense of the big map and then the small map of where they were. So all in all, I got a really good sense of this site right from the get-go. Neil, anything you wanted to add in terms of what you enjoyed about this assignment, just looking at it for the first time here?
You bet. Yeah, I really like that it's shown from multiple scales as well as multiple perspectives. That's really helpful to get the context and get a feel for the big picture, the macro patterns, as well as the specificity of the site. The other thing that sticks out to me that I didn't mention in the assignment details is that it has a name. So I think that's great to make sure that you have a name for your site. It could be something as simple as Neil's house, but something that makes it a distinct name that's not just the address, because that's kind of boring as a name. And you'll find that as we go through all the other layers of the design, giving things names or individual unique identities is very helpful for describing and conversing about a site design.
Great point. Great point. This is another great project from somebody from the UK. Again, the design project site was very simple. Now, this person came to the course with some architectural skills. They already started to do a great base map right off the bat. You don't have to do that for this first one. They just did it all the same. While I did enjoy this, and they gave us a bit of a sense of sort of this aspect in the watershed assignments, which we'll talk about in the next video, I would have really liked in this design project, again, like we saw in the previous one, sort of the big to the smaller to the smallest. They did give us a few photos here, but there could have been a lot more for us to see here. So I want to show you things that are great and also things that aren't so great. So this was beautifully drawn, but it wasn't necessarily all the things I wanted to see from the first get-go. Neil, your thoughts?
I like the combination again of the perspective photographs to give us more of a visceral feel of the site when combined with the plan base map type of layout. I really like the clear labels, you know, the just very clean handwriting and the color coding. That makes it really easy visually to take in quickly. Those I'd say are the two things that, beyond what you've commented on, that I see here.
Awesome. So this is another really simple, easy to understand site. Again, this was missing sort of the big to the small, but gave us a sense of the site, gave us the sense of a view, gave us a property boundary. So nice to see the property boundary already, and also gave us a north arrow. So already we're starting to see some of the graphic standards we're going to talk about in the next assignment that we're going to need to communicate a lot of this information. They gave us the address, where approximately it was, the size, 5.5 acres. They started to talk about the climate zone or the growing zone, which if you're not familiar with yet, you will be. They talked a little bit how they access it. They talked about the history, which I love hearing about. If you know a bit of the history, definitely include it. And then what's the big idea? The property is to be developed to have nut, fruit, trees, small animal husbandry with vegetable production and owner's use. Neil?
I think you summed it up great. I really like the panoramic photo. That's always a nice thing, just to be able to see a lot at once about the site.
And this one. So this is a great one that I really appreciate because it gave me all the things I was really hoping for. So again, this was in Victoria. So gives us the big picture. I already know a lot about Victoria, so I already know where this is. It's kind of midway up the peninsula. Still, I love seeing the big and the small, especially for those of you that are in Europe or Asia. Even in America, I find that a lot of the American students don't necessarily know the geography of the rest of America. So great to show us the big to the small. This is an international class. And because Neil and I predominantly take American, Canadian, and international students, you have a great opportunity to learn and teach other people. So do the big to the small, it'll be great. And then one thing I love is that they gave us a sense of the direction of the photos. This for me is amazing. I really love this because I know exactly where they're looking. I'm in that photo, I'm looking that way. And this is one of the best ways to give me and Neil a good sense of being on the ground. The more photos you put here, the better. Because it gives us a good sense. Not to mention, if you put together this profile and, pardon me, this portfolio, and you give it to another contractor, another designer, you'll land them into your site really quickly. You won't need to do any extra work if you decide to get some extra consultation after the fact. So great elements here that I enjoyed. Neil, anything else to add for this assignment?
I really like the photo location. I just want to emphasize how simple it is to communicate that with a couple of arrows. I mean, just a couple of lines with arrows on them allows you to do that, as well as just the one dot on the map with a little arrow. And so it doesn't have to be something really sophisticated.
Awesome. So one thing that I really enjoy, and this is mostly my preference, so for my students, and Neil can speak to his, that I really like a portfolio. So once you've developed your assignment, starting to compile them into a single PDF gives you a chance to review each assignments when you compile them, but it also gives us a chance. Each of us work with anywhere from 10 to 20 students in this course, and we also have another course we work with, plus our own clients, plus our own sites. So there's lots going on. So when you start to compile your assignments from beginning to end, and I find that students really enjoy it when the newest assignment is first, and so it actually goes back in time. That really helps us to get a really good sense of this. So I want to set that intention now. I'll also write it in an email to everybody. Definitely start to build a portfolio right from the get-go. And you may need to take a look at some tutorials on Google to understand how to do that with your software, how to compile PDF portfolios. You may have to outsource some of that to some online services. But basically, if you type in, how do I make a PDF with multiple pages or multiple portfolios, you'll find it really quickly. Neil, your thoughts on portfolios? Oh, Neil, you're muted, buddy. You're gonna have to start again.
Okay, I think that's great. Yeah, I personally use PowerPoint for most of my stuff. I think it's a readily available software. It's relatively straightforward. One of the things that I want to emphasize is these portfolios can get really photo heavy, which ends up being very data heavy, which makes things a little bit difficult to download and things like that. So if you can compress pictures when you save it as a PDF, that really helps. So looking into the options to help just shrink the size a little bit will help both on your end uploading it as well as our end looking at it.
Great point. Great point. So you might already be thinking, my goodness, there's a lot of technical expertise needed for this course. There definitely is a bit. It is readily available on Google, or querying your other classmates. There's always one or two folks in the class that are really able to help and connect. Chances are, if you ask us, we're going to go right back and tell you, take a look on Google, because we don't know your specifics, but it's readily available and you can usually get into it really quickly. If you're daunted and if you just want to do paper's totally fine. You just take photos of your drawings. We're not saying you have to do everything computer generated. You can do everything on paper if you want. Take, photos, paste it together, do a photo of that and send it to us. That's fine. We're not saying you have to become an uber computer literate person during this process, but a little bit goes a really long way. I think that's it for me, Neil. Are you good? Okay, Neil's good. So thanks so much for listening to assignment 1. We'll be looking for you in the next video. Thanks so much, folks.